collecting money. You know, don't take me, no, this is only part of the act. But I'll take that bag off your hands. I'll take it up because I'm afraid you're going to throw it on the ground. It'll look terrible. Very badly. What is? That's a receipt. This is our accountant, and okay, I'll do this out here. You don't have to give us any money, no. But listen, leave the bag here and I'll take care of it, don't you? I'll get it back to its rightful owner. Don't worry about that. I'll do it. I read it. Absolutely read it. I'm going to do it. I'll do it right away. Yeah. There you go now. This lady is part of our act. She collects money for us, even though we always publicly decline. But privately, we count it. As soon as the show's over, she wants to hear it. I'm going to be doing new songs in this set as well. A couple of new songs as well, because people have seen us earlier. I recognise you people, you were here before. But we'll be doing some other songs we haven't done in the last set, because I don't want you just sitting down listening to the same songs. Even though some of you seem to want the same songs, it's not our policy to do the same song if we see more than 100,000 people at the same time listening to the same story that they heard before. Is that a camera? What is that? Because look, I like the lights. I love lights. We had no electricity in the house I came from in Ireland, and I love lights. Even if I'm not sure sometimes I can't differentiate between the lights of a car and the lights of a camera or any kind of those machines, iPods, iPads, whatever they call them. What do they call them? Computers, PCs, computers. Anyway, let me continue. We have a request for this song. We always get a request for this song. It's always very popular. It's called My Father's House. Very simply, it's the story of my father's house. There's a man here who knows what I'm talking about. This is for people who did not get the house at home. Is there anybody here? One of the main reasons that there's a woman down here, she did not get the house at home, and the man beside her was so happy that she didn't get the house because he never liked the house. He never liked that house, and he was afraid that they'd move him in, and thank God things worked out. But she nevertheless has never forgotten that she did not get the house. Is there anybody here who was expecting to get the house and left because they didn't get it? So that is one of the people ask me, why did you leave Ireland? Why did you leave? Why did you leave? And then they say, well, why did you come here? Why are you here? Why aren't you someplace else? That's people who paid to get in. Why aren't you someplace else? But people ask me why I left, and the simple answer is I left Ireland because I didn't get the house at home. I did not get the house at home. Simple as that. I came from a very large family, 11 people in the house at all times. Well, even when the people were at school, the neighbours' people used to come in. So there was always at least 11 people in the house at all times. But to make the long story short, my father had the house transferred over unknowing to himself. I know it's a very strange story. Unknown to my father, my mother signed the house over to herself when he went up to town for a few drinks for 3 days. So on the third day he came back, and my mother had already signed the house over to herself. And she was very, very happy, and he thought it was unusual at the time that my mother was happy that he had been gone for 3 days and hadn't come back, never said a word. But she was delighted because she had taken the house from under him, and he was delighted because she said nothing about him being away from the house. The house was no longer an issue, but it was for me because my mother then gave the house to my oldest sister. And ever since then, I no longer call my father's house my father's house. I call my father's house my sister's father's house. And so I'd like to sing a song about that house, but I would like to recite a poem that I wrote immediately after I found out that the house was no longer mine, that it was my sister's father's house. I'd like to recite that poem for you now, and I call the poem My Sister's Father's House. I did not get my father's house, no, because my mother let it go to one of my 7 sisters who didn't even kiss him when he died. So when I didn't get it, I decided to forget it and to see the green hills on the other side. And so now I'm in America, and I'm so proud that I'm in therapy with the house counselor who listens when I shout about my sister and the solicitor and all the other visitors now living in my sister's father's house. This poem is dedicated to all who emigrated and who waited till they finally found out that it's too much of a good thing to expect something for nothing. And that's something I learned in my father's house.